Yo, what's going on, everyone? My name is Matt Jarbo. This is Whatever. Today is the 1st of July, 2018. Officially the 1st of July, although for a couple more hours. It's almost done. And I want to admit one thing. I'd like to confess something to you guys. I love a good conspiracy theory. I do. Okay? Part of me wants to believe Bigfoot exists. Part of me wants to believe 9/11 was an inside job. Part of me wants to believe Atlantis exists. Part of me wants to believe that Kanye West is talented. These are just simply things that aren't true. I know this, but deep down inside, I want that to be a thing. I want it to be a reality because conspiracy theories are fun. They get the noggin a jogging. They get you thinking. They get you. They take you to a place that's just fun to speculate and to discuss. And that's kind of what I want to do tonight on this particular episode. I was thinking about conspiracy theories and probably the greatest one of 2018, and that of course is the Logan Paul Suicide Forest video. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, oh, God damn it, Matt. Really? You're on this again? Let it go. You know, Frozen and shit. Let it go. They probably should. Now, I just want to start off by saying this is the exact same thing I've been telling people that I talk to about this. These are my thoughts and my theories about why the whole thing is fake. About why the whole thing is fake. And if you're going to ask if you're going to start right now by going, if it's fake, why didn't he just admit it? I'm going to get to that. I'm going to get to that at the end. I'm going to get to that when everything else is already over with and I've laid out all of my evidence to the best of my ability. Then I'm going to answer that question because that question, my answer to that question is one that will to quote Insane Clown Posse, shock your eyelids. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck that means either. But when Shaggy 2 Dope says something, you gotta listen, I guess? I don't know, man. Fucking magnets, how do they work, right? I understand how magnets work. What I don't fully understand is Logan Paul and why he thought this was a good idea. Now, we have to go back on this to the beginning of the video, to the infamous Logan Paul video, where he starts it with an opening monologue, right? He talks about the forest, he talks about the area, and he makes one distinct claim, and that would be, there is no cell reception, right? Then it cuts to them in a van. They're in a luxury van. If you look, it's a luxury van that's taking them around, just touring them around. They're talking about it a little bit. They pull into the forest, the parking lot entryway to the forest, and he notices early on in the day. It's early on in the morning. There's not really many cars around, and here's where we start to see the first pieces of this particular fabricated narrative coming to play, and that of course has to do with the camping supplies themselves. Now, Logan Paul is making a big show of this, right? He's obviously put thought and effort into what he's going to do, what they're going to find, and he wanted to make sure that it as believable as humanly possible. But like with everything in life, my friends, the devil is quite literally in the details. Logan Paul pulls out 1 2-person sleeping tent. That's right, 1 2-person sleeping tent, and there were a total of 5 people there. 5 people that we know of. Now, there's Logan, there's the camera guy, there's Sushi, their security guard, there's that one dude in the turtleneck, and then the other girl who I can't quite tell who she's there with on an intimate romantic level. But that's the 5 of them. That's the gang. All right, that's the gaggle of chuckle fucks heading off into the forest. Now, this is before they go into the forest. I want you to notice that they also make the second claim in this point in time that there is no cell reception. I want you to keep that in mind. We've had 2 claims of that so far. We're only a couple minutes in. He dons his Gucci jacket and the aliens from Toy Story hat, and they go trouncing off into the woods. They go into the forest. And it doesn't appear that they're out there for very long. As they tend to kind of venture off the trail and discover the corpse. Now, before we go any further, I just want you to ruminate on something, and that would be, go and look up, I don't know, all of the other videos of people exploring the suicide forest on YouTube, of which there are many. and look to see how many of them have actually discovered a corpse. The answer will shock you. I'm not going to tell you the answer. Okay, it's 0. None of them. None of them have found anything. They found nothing because it doesn't exist. Like Kanye West's talent. It doesn't exist. But I get back to the story. They find the body. They blur the face as to make sure that no one knows who the person is because, you know, Japan is all about that respect. And the whole time the idiots can't contain their excitement for where they're at. Now, they chalk it up to gallows humor and nervous laughing, but I do want to quickly kind of backtrack a point, and I got ahead of myself here. Going back to the devil and the details. If you go back and you watch the scene of them walking through the forest where they're talking, or Logan is holding the tent, right? Again, it's there to make you think that they're actually going to spend the night out in the forest. But notice what he's wearing if you get the opportunity. Notice what he is wearing. Right? He's got the tent. He's got sleeping bags clipped to his belt. 3 of them, to be exact. The girl behind him is carrying 2 pillows. And the guy in the turtleneck has got 1 bag of what appears to be a couple snacks, if not 1 box, maybe more than 1 box of snacks. I don't know. Either way, 5 people overnight in the forest. No water, no propane stove, no other provisions, just a 2-person tent, 3 sleeping bags, 2 pillows, and a partridge, or a dead guy in a fucking pear tree, apparently. Just think about that. The gear that they brought is not enough for 5 people to go camping. And in any of the other shots of them, you don't see any more gear. Even when they show the camera guy whose name, it doesn't matter. But no one had gear. No one had overnight provisions. And yet they were going to go camping in the suicide forest. Starting to kind of make you think a little bit, isn't it? Make you go, huh, that's peculiar. Yeah. Yeah, they had the information. They had the stuff. But where are they going? What were they planning on? And keep in mind that Logan did say once they found the body that they were about 300 feet away from the entrance to the forest. And that is extremely peculiar, considering the fact that most people, the 100 people who go out there to commit suicide every single year, travel miles and miles and miles back into the forest. They go as far as to, in some cases, take string and tie string off the trail to track where they go, in case they decide that suicide is not the answer and they want to return home. But this person, just kind of out in the middle of nowhere, 300 feet away, there were children running around playing. We saw this down the road. We saw this thing happen. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point. This is the narrative that he crafted. It's a good narrative, right? He did just enough to make you believe, and everything else started to make you question it if you wanted to question it. Whoever plotted this particular thing, well done, sir. Well done, sir or madame. It was probably Logan, because I just would like to kind of stop for a hot moment and pivot over to the fact that he's faked his own death before in front of his fans. This is not above his wheelhouse. This is not above his MO for these sort of things. Logan Paul likes to be a dick, and he likes to do it for attention. So why not fake a corpse in the woods? Now again, there will be people asking that question. How do you know it's a fake body? Well, it's not a fake body. It was a real person. It was a real person. They just were really, really, really still for the whole time, which is hard to do. I give the person who did it credit, but there's a couple things that they really, really, really screwed up on, and that, of course, is going to be just the human body, right? When the human body dies, certain things happen. You know, in the movies, you don't necessarily see that because they never really focus on it. Even in zombie films, it doesn't make a lot of sense, just given how the body reacts to death, right? Because here's the thing. When you die, you go limp. So the person is standing there almost completely erect. Like they took Viagra and then killed themselves, and the Viagra worked on their whole body, not just their dick. Doesn't make any sense. The body would limp. It would be slumped over. Once they're dead, there's nothing holding them up. There's nothing propping them up. And the body wasn't swinging on the rope, so it was definitely locked into place. Now, people might go, oh, but the hands were blue. Well, it's not hard to put a little makeup on your hands, right? Not hard at all for that to happen. Same point in time, when you die, your blood, the blood tends to go down because of gravity. So the skin would be pale, not blue necessarily. The idea there was to simulate that they strangled themselves to death. So there might be a little bit of blue in the extremities, but not that level of blue. Additionally, the skin would have been very, very, very opaque. It would have been very white, not translucent, obviously, but there would have been, again, these are just like the factors of death. Never mind gravity and just the body itself. It would be slumped over. It would be slumped over. We would see visible slumpage of the corpse, and there was not slumpage. It was very rigid because I think they were very much trying to stay still while not moving. Never mind, there's that also whatever white thing, a hoodie. I'm not too sure what it was. There's this white glow that in certain angles makes you think that you're looking at the blur of light coming through the trees, but on other angles where there's no, you can't see the sky in the distance, there's a big white thing there. So I don't know what that is. I have no idea. They haven't released the unblurred footage to confirm that it's a body. That's another thing too. I know what you're thinking, but wait, why would they do that? Well, because they'd have to. You want to confirm it's real, you release the unedited footage. It would have gotten out there some way or another. So those are just a couple of the things. There's just like the fact that the human body, when they die from hanging, certain things happen. A friend of mine, his mother-in-law committed suicide by hanging. She took a whole bunch of sleeping pills, tied a belt around her neck, flipped it over a door, and then just got on her knees and, fell forward and let herself choke out. And that's again, there are certain things that happen when they commit suicide via hanging. So there's that. That's just one thing to consider, right? Never mind the fact that if you go and you look at about 6 minutes and 58 seconds in the video, you can see the body move. And it wouldn't necessarily be a cadaver spasm, as some people have tried to point out when I brought this up, because my theory, and again, this is all speculation, if it's real, if it actually happened, at this point, I got to see the corpse. I'm sorry. I got to see the corpse. Send it to me privately, publicly. I don't give a fuck. I have to see the corpse. Otherwise, it's all fake in my mind. And nothing other than that will be the proof. And I will talk about more about that here in a little bit. But when, you've just got all the factors involved with this, with the body itself. It moves at 6 minutes and 58 seconds. You have rigor mortis that sets in. 90 minutes post-death, rigor mortis sets in. So the body dies from hanging. The body slumps because now gravity isn't holding it up. Never mind the whole, bowel evacuation, the pissing and shitting oneself and possibly having an erection and or orgasming. So the front of those pants, the back of those pants might be a little bit soiled or stained. And clearly in this particular case, it wasn't. So they have that. There's that whole thing about just the body itself. Like rigor mortis clearly would have locked it in the position that it was in 90 minutes post-death, which would not be where it was at right there. And if it was hanging there, it would have been swinging. There would have been a movement on the body. The body never moved, outside of the hands moving at 6 minutes, 58 seconds. So there's that. That brings me back to a point I made earlier. Cell reception. And the two mentions that there is zero cell reception in the forest. But yet when they find the body, Logan looks at his buddy, Sushi. Says, Sushi, call it in. Sushi goes, okay, walks back 10 feet, gets on the phone. Right? That happened. That was the thing. We see that in the video. Meant to indicate that he was calling it in. Now let's go to when they go back out to the parking lot. Because here again, devil's in the details. A couple things you have to keep in mind of. And I spent a fair amount of time going through this video frame by frame, looking at the background, looking at what's around, as well as looking up what else is in that parking lot. Because it wasn't just the parking lot to the trail leading to the forest. There's also an ice cave there, which is a tourist destination, which is why there were all those kids around, because they were going to the ice cave. Now, when they walk out of the forest and they're walking around the front entryway of the ice cave, Logan says to he sees a fire truck, and he says, "Oh, there's a body 3 clicks that way." And then they keep on going. Now, a gentleman approaches them and says, "Oh, you should not have gone back there. It is forbidden." Right? Now, I've heard speculation online. I've seen comments online, people saying, "Oh, but that was that was a cop. That was a detective giving them the 3rd degree from going out into that forest." Nope. That was the driver of the luxury van. Go back and look at the dude's outfit. He's wearing a fucking pea coat. Right? Look at his outfit. He is a luxury van driver. That's it. Because a couple shots later, you see Sushi talking to him while Logan is recording, and they're kind of looking back over their shoulder at him. So you know that they're just letting these gringos go and do what they're going to go do, and they don't even care. Like, because they're getting paid good money to be there. They're getting paid good money for this kind of crap. But there's another thing, too. As they're walking around, right after they're told you shouldn't have gone there, it's forbidden, you do see a couple paramedics. And the paramedics are carrying a bright yellow stretcher. Now you're thinking to yourself, they're heading off into the forest to go and find the body. They're heading out there to go and locate this corpse, to cut it down, to return this body to the family. And so the family can finally put this corpse to rest. And that is the noble thing. Logan is doing the noble thing by calling this in. Well, if you get towards like the end of the vlog, you actually can see them return to their van or their emergency vehicle without a body. There wasn't a corpse. If there was a corpse, you would have clearly seen a coroner, or whatever the Japanese equivalent of a coroner would be, on site. They would have loaded the body up. It would have been in a body bag. Additionally, and this again is probably like the key to all of it. Where were the cops? Right? Where were the cops? If there's a dead body, 5-0 is going to be there, because the paramedics and the EMTs don't file the goddamn report themselves. They don't. Not one damn bit. An officer has to be there in order to take the report, to ask the questions. And I know that this whole thing is fake, because after the fact, the Japanese police in that area, right, the ones responsible for the forest, put out that statement saying like, "Yo, we would like to talk to Logan Paul because there may have been a dead body," basically inferring that they never found a corpse. Interesting, because Logan made you believe in the video that they found a corpse, that they turned it in, that they did the noble thing of not letting this person decompose out in this forest, right? 300 feet away from where children are at play to go on a field trip ice cave location, or whatever the hell it was. Now, this is just speculation, but it's entirely possible that Sushi contacted the authorities to call in someone who was hurt in order to bring out the paramedics there, in order to bring them out. Again, speculation. I have no information about that. However, it would also make sense that they would get lucky and someone would have been injured at the ice cave, because it's an ice cave. Kid could have fallen and gotten hurt. But by all indication, no body was found, because we don't see a coroner's van. We see the paramedics return to their vehicle without a corpse, putting back the yellow stretcher, and there's no cops, there's no police, and the police later on said there may have been a body. Now, that's pretty much my case. There's so much that essentially points to the fact. I don't want to say 100% proves, but I would say beyond a reasonable doubt, would allude to the fact that this entire thing was staged for effect. Now, again, there's that question that we talked about earlier. Why? Why would Logan Paul fake this out? Why would he lie about these things? Why would he make this up? Why wouldn't he just come clean when it all hit the fan because it would be the stupidest damn thing he could ever fucking do in that moment in time. The cover-up would be way worse than the crime. 100%. Because it would cost him so much credibility with his fan base. Because he made it up, because he faked it. Now, we know Logan has faked his death before. We know Logan has faked being colorblind. And we know Logan is a moderately okay actor. Not in that particular moment, because when he was trying to act like he found this body, he's like, oh my God, you guys. It was the stupidest stuff ever. All right, like I've faked acting better, you know, but just in everything else. So it would make no sense for him to admit this, okay? Because when the punishment came down from YouTube, they pulled him from premium ads. As far as I'm aware, those are already back. The Thinning 2, the sequel to The Thinning, was already shot. That was produced via Lionsgate, which means that they're going to probably put it out sometime by the end of the year. You know, because by that point, the controversy will have died down. If you notice recently, or as of late, he hasn't been making a lot of waves, probably because everyone's telling him, hey, you need to stop in order to kind of come back from this whole thing to get your career back on track. There hasn't really been a lot with him recently. He didn't go to VidCon, which makes sense, right? Like everything about this to me from the offset just felt fucking wrong. Right? It felt wrong. Now, I've taken homicide writers courses taught by veteran homicide detectives from the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department. And I've learned a lot over the years by studying crime, by studying true crime and the way that the body works in regards to death and things like that. I've seen these things play out. And when I applied that logic to what I'm watching here, it all just clicked into place. Like I said, the devil is quite literally in the goddamn fucking details. But nobody wants to accept it. And that's what I don't understand. That is what I am ultimately fucking frustrated with. I watched a lot of coverage of this. And I've been saying it forever. People have called me crazy, right? And people have called me crazy for months over this. They're like, what does it matter? What does it matter? I'm like, it matters because there's no body. There's no body. No one died. So it matters because this 21, 22-year-old, Viner, which I'm going to use as an epithet in this particular case, because they've invaded my fucking platform, went to this suicide forest and faked a death in order to get views. He got 6 million views in the span of like a day or 2 days before he pulled the video. And then when the controversy broke and everyone was talking about it, he jumped up 90,000 subscribers a day. Millions upon millions upon millions of views. And it just made him more fucking money. So why would he ever remotely, possibly admit to being an idiot and faking it? It is not financially viable for him to do so. It is not financially viable for him to make that right and to claim that he's full of shit. It's better for him to take his lumps now, to have it be a blemish on his record, one that, while not good, ultimately will be forgotten about because people out there will just move on. They already have. It's been 7 months or 6 months or whatever, because it's the 1st of July. It's been 6 months. I want to double check that. January, February, March, April, May, June. 6 months since that whole thing went down. People have moved on. I guarantee you he's working on more shit, making more deals, making more money. All while having this as being negative on his career, and one that ultimately he gets to come back from it by basically just doing what he did. By just saying, I'm an idiot. I fucked up. I'm dumb. I'm stupid. Don't defend me. Don't speak out for me. The falling on his sword. That's the whole thing. It's more viable for him to lie, to continue the lie, than it is to admit that he was fucking lying. And I do believe that people at YouTube, his handlers, his managers, they all know that it's a lie. But because he's the YouTube poster boy, or at least he was at the time, and I'm sure he will be again based upon his popularity, although Ninja and Fortnite kind of took over that shit, is something YouTube wants to continue work with him on. They've even said we're open, we're willing to working with him again. Right? Right? Isn't that a little bit weird? Why would they admit that? Oh, it's right, because they've known that it's not real. He told them that it was fake. But then they had to preserve the lie because it was better for everyone involved. Now, if you've made it to this portion of the recording, again, we're talking like 25 minutes in. This is my case. I have no factual evidence to back it up on, simply circumstantial in my knowledge of the human anatomy upon death, as well as my knowledge of other people who have gone out to the Aokigahara Forest in search of a corpse. Hell, there's that guy, I'm Jay Station, who went out there like 2 days later and did like a full 1 hour walkthrough of that forest on video, found no corpse. But yet Logan Paul, within 20 minutes, discovered a body when people have been out there for overnight. Vice did a whole documentary on it, didn't find shit in terms of a body. And Vice would have showed it because that's Vice, is what they do. But Logan Paul, lucky fucking Logan, come on. Come on. There's no way that that is legit. But I put it to you. I leave it to you guys to come to your own conclusion. If you think that this is legit, tell me why. Now, hold on. I will say, before I end this, I do want to point out one thing. There is one thing about it that has been a little bit off for me that could blow my entire case open. Okay, and I want to address it because there's a shot, I don't know where, but there's a shot where they show the corpse, and it does appear that his feet, at least his toes, are off the ground. And I saw that the other day, and I looked at that, and that could just be that his heels are on something, and they got him kind of wedged in there, and he can balance on it. But it is something that is okay. That could call some stuff into question. So there's that. And it's entirely possible that they were going out there with the limited supplies because they were going to shoot a bit. Then they did uncover the body and then go from there. That could happen too. I just want to address it that I could be wrong. But I've spent 6 months stewing on this case a little bit. I've gone back and I've watched the video a few times, probably I'd say less than 10 times, but I've gone through frame by frame. I've downloaded the video, I've tossed it in my editor, I've gone through frame by frame in certain scenes to look to see what's in the background, to look to see how things are, and to look to see how things played out. And after all that time and looking through things and going on Google Maps and exploring the parking lot and taking that, you can do Google Maps and walk the trail back up to the forest. Right? Like there are elements of it there that just do not add up. And maybe one or two things where it does. So I just want to say, like, there is a possibility I'm wrong. But I don't think that I am. I don't think that I'm wrong. I think Logan Paul fucking made it up. I think it's better to cover it up for the long-term gain over the admittance to have the clean slate, but risk losing everything because you're a liar who manipulated a suicide forest into a stupid video. Because the lie is so much easier to maintain than the truth. The truth would cost him everything. Especially now. So those are my thoughts on the situation. Very curious to know what you guys have to say about this. Let me know let me know down in the comments. Let me know wherever you find this and shit. I've been wanting to kind of like just put this out there. I've given this exact spiel now a couple times to people, and at the end of it, usually people sit there and they go, "Oh wow, no, I didn't realize any of that." And I don't know if it changed their minds, but they seem more willing to look at it from a skeptic's perspective rather than believing it hook, line, and sinker. And it does bother me that so many YouTubers covered this, so many news channels that are often skeptical covered it, and not one of them ever asked the question if this is real. And I really do believe that this boils down to the fact that they did not want to think that it was fake. I think they looked at this, they took it at face value for the horrific act that it was, for the dumb, stupid thing that it was, and they chose to make that the narrative versus stopping for a moment and objectively looking at the footage and objectively looking at the situation and taking it through point for point and breaking down everything that you see to come to the determination that, wait, maybe this whole thing was made up. And that is something that if I get the opportunity with some of these people down the road, obviously in a private setting, I would love to be able to have that discussion with them. Because when this comes up in private and I lay out my case, the people who I lay it out to often go, damn, I didn't consider any of that. So it starts a conversation. And I think that when it comes to this particular subject matter, in this particular story, that conversation is needed. Because I just want to leave you guys with this. Nothing you ever see on TV, on movies, on the internet is ever real. Right? It's never 100% real. Unless it's like the security camera footage of like of a horrible accident or something, or a robbery. But other things, like the vast majority of everything else, is entirely fake. It's produced. It is spun in a certain way. And even when you watch those security camera footages of an unblinking eye from the lens of a camera, and you see that, even that can have some spin based upon what precedes it and what comes after it. So some stuff for you to just consider as you finish up this half-hour-long ramble of me sounding like I'm wearing a tinfoil hat and my name should be, Metallics Jarbones. I don't even fucking know what that goddamn name means. But definitely let me know what you think, because I'm fascinated to know your thoughts. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Oh yeah, if you've made it to this point, Pine Sol, right? Pine Sol in the chat. All right, guys, have a good one, and peace out.